Okay, so if you're a founder, I'm willing to bet you've heard this piece of advice. You've got to get a PEO, right? It comes from advisors, from accelerators, from everywhere. But what if that advice is just wrong? What if it's costing your startup thousands of dollars you really don't need to be spending? Well, today we are going to bust some myths. We're going to give you the real story on PEOs, EORs, and how you can actually handle HR as you scale. Seriously, you've probably heard it a million times. You need a PEO. It's become the default advice in the startup world. But is it actually good advice? Or is it a really, really costly mistake just waiting to happen? Let's dig in and find out. You want to know the dirty little secret of the HR industry? It's kind of designed to be confusing. The lack of transparency means companies, especially startups, end up signing these bloated, expensive contracts for services they will literally never use. And guess what pays the price? Your runway. So let's get you armed with the knowledge you need to make the right call for your company. We're going to cut right through all the jargon and give you a simple, no-nonsense guide to what a PEO and an EOR actually are. Okay, first up, PEOs, Professional Employer Organization. The single most important thing to understand here is this concept of co-employment. You're basically partnering with the PEO. They handle all the HR and compliance stuff for your multi-state U.S. hires, while you, the founder, get to manage their day-to-day work. So what do you get out of this deal? Well, the PEO handles all the messy back-end stuff. We're talking payroll, taxes under their own tax ID, benefits, workers' comp, the whole shebang. So let's say you're based in California and you want to hire an amazing engineer in Texas. The PEO takes care of all the Texas-specific labor laws and paperwork, so you don't have to become an expert overnight. All right, now let's switch gears and talk about EORs, Employer of Record. This is a totally different animal. EORs are basically your secret weapon for hiring internationally. You want to hire a rockstar developer in, say, Germany, but you don't have a German legal entity? No problem. The EOR becomes their legal employer on paper, handling all the local HR headaches, while you just focus on building your product with your new hire. So the bottom line is this. EORs are your ticket to hiring globally without all the red tape. They let you tap into top talent anywhere in the world, test out new markets, and even convert those international contractors to full-time employees, all without the absolute nightmare of setting up a foreign subsidiary. Okay, so they both deal with HR, but they are absolutely not the same thing. So let's put them head to head. We're going to compare them on 4 key areas, and this is where you'll really start to see the difference. Let's break this chart down. First up, legal liability. With a PEO, you're sharing the risk. It's co-employment. If they mess up, you could still be on the hook. With an EOR, they take on the full legal liability. Next, geography. Super simple. PEOs are for hiring across different states in the US. EORs are for hiring across different countries around the world. Third, what kind of company you need. A PEO just bolts onto your existing US company. An EOR, on the other hand, becomes your legal entity in that foreign country. That's the whole point. And finally, flexibility. PEOs often want bigger commitments, like a 5-employee minimum and multi-year contracts. EORs, they're way more nimble. You can usually hire just one person on a simple month-to-month basis. All right, let's talk about the part everyone really cares about, the money. Because when it comes to PEOs and EORs, the price tag can be a real shocker. So let's follow the money and see what you're actually paying for. Just take a look at that number, $1,395. That is the average annual cost of a PEO for every single employee you have. And get this, that's just the admin fee. We haven't even started talking about the cost of benefits yet. And believe me, it can get worse. Some PEOs don't charge a flat fee. They charge a percentage of your total payroll. So let's say you have a small team with a $500,000 payroll. A typical 5% fee means you're shelling out $25,000 a year just for the PEO's fee. That's before you've paid a single dollar for actual health insurance. And if you thought PEOs were expensive, oh boy, EORs are on a whole other level. Because of all the international complexity, the costs are just way higher. Hiring one person in Western Europe could set you back over $1,600 a month just for the EOR's fee. And as you can see, the price is all over the map depending on where you're hiring. And you have got to watch out for the hidden fees they won't advertise. They will nickel and dime you with things like setup fees, termination fees, big markups on currency exchange, and sometimes even massive security deposits. These are the hidden costs that can absolutely destroy your budget if you're not careful. Okay, enough of the doom and gloom. Let's talk about how to get this right. I'm going to give you a 5-point checklist to help you make the smart decision. Just ask these 5 questions before you sign on any dotted line, and you will save yourself a world of pain. Number 1, what do you actually need? Be brutally honest with yourself. Do you just need basic payroll and tax filing, or do you really need the full-blown all-you-can-eat HR buffet they're trying to sell you? 2, are you hiring internationally? If the answer is no, you can pretty much cross EORs off your list. 3, who are you hiring? PEOs are built for full-time W-2 employees, not for companies with a lot of contractors coming and going. 4, is the provider certified? We're going to talk about why that's so critical in just a second. And 5, do they own their own infrastructure? Or are you just paying a middleman who's paying another middleman? Okay, now this one is a big deal, so listen up. Fewer than 10% of PEOs in the entire country are officially certified by the IRS. Why does that matter so much? Because a certified PEO, a CPEO, takes on all the liability for your payroll taxes. If you go with a non-certified one and they mess up your taxes, the IRS isn't coming after them, they're coming after you. So you should always check for that certification. So we've talked all about PEOs and EORs. But what if I told you there's a better way? What if there's a third option that's actually perfect for most early-stage startups? Here it is. This is the big secret the PEO and EOR providers really don't want you to know. Most early-stage startups just don't need them. It's like they're selling you a sledgehammer to crack a nut. You end up paying for a level of complexity that your company simply doesn't have yet. So what is this alternative? It's modern payroll software. With this model, you stay in complete control as the sole employer. The fees are low, flat, and predictable, and you can still handle multi-state tax compliance automatically. You get all the compliance you need without the insane costs and the vendor lock-in of a PEO. So here's a really simple rule of thumb for you. If you're a US-based company and you have fewer than, say, 10 employees, you almost certainly do not need a PEO. You can get everything you need from a modern payroll platform for a tiny fraction of the cost. You get to stay in control, and you get to keep more of your hard-earned cash in the bank. So as you think about what your next move is, I want you to ask yourself this one question. Are you paying for a giant HR battleship when all you really need is a nimble little compliance speedboat? POs and EORs are powerful, for sure, but they're also big, expensive, and slow. For most startups, a lean, efficient speedboat is all you need to win the race. The choice is yours.